So I've been thinking a lot about my pre-writing process and what that looks like, and being here among other writers, I've really noticed that we all have different processes and it's okay. Mine is very messy and dirty, and I would never want to share a first draft with anyone because I really try to get my thoughts out on the page, and I make arrows, I cross things out, I spell things incorrectly, I use way too many commas or not enough, and it is really just a place where I'm able to foster my ideas.
I've noticed over the past couple of years that I tend to get an idea in my head, and before I write anything down, I have to walk around and really think about the idea. For example, there was a poem that was coming to mind, and so while out for a walk, I was just getting lines of the poem down so I would be able to then go home and write it all out.
So I found that it really helps me to just make a list of what I'm thinking of, write it down, so it doesn't seem as scary when I go to start writing. And to overcome that, I still like to take my time and kind of think through a piece before I start planning. But I've noticed that if I try to set aside time to write every day, whether it's 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, even if I'm not writing on a particular piece, just write about something, what I'm feeling, a prompt that I find on the internet or from a book, it really helps me build that fluency and that confidence. And sometimes doing that can get me to a point where I have something to write about.
I hate to give this advice because as a teacher I never want to say the word just, because it implies it's very easy, like just do this scientific equation. But I think when you write, you just have to write at first. You just need to do it. You have to sit down, put pencil to page, and put something out there. And it can suck, and it's messy, and it's not going to be what you end up with. And the way I write, I just need to do that. Sometimes I don't necessarily use sentences or lines or even traditional paper. I just get it out there. And then I can go back and fix it later.
So my writing process generally begins with some level of inspiration that I tend to get from a writing community or being around other writers who are doing the same kinds of work that I'm doing. Inspiration also comes from reading. I find that if I'm reading a lot, I'm actually inspired to write a lot more. And that's something that I know about myself, but yet I still have to push myself to make sure that I'm reading like crazy. And I don't have to be reading really within the genre that I'm writing. Just reading anything at all, like the language of it kind of inspires me. So I generally start with some level of inspiration and motivation, and then when I lose steam on a writing project, I have to kind of come back to that first step.